Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. It is a massive weekend of recruiting for Tennessee. 15 official visitors expected to arrive on campus today. Headlined by five-star quarterback Tennessee commit Faison Brandon. I made a video yesterday talking about three guys that are committed to LSU, Alabama, and Texas, but they are visiting Tennessee this weekend. That's Tristan Keys, Zion Gibson, and Chris Stewart. I think Tennessee has a very realistic shot at flipping a couple of those guys. Made a video on that yesterday. If you missed it, go back and give it a watch. I expected to wake up this morning and continuing to talk recruiting. Maybe we will do that. Maybe we will come back to that later this afternoon. But I saw an article from Joel Klatt, and he's talking about the coaching pressure index. Which coaches in the country have the most pressure on them for 2025? He mentioned Josh Heupel. Of course, there's pressure on Josh Heupel. Welcome to coaching in the SEC. But he also mentioned throwing Nico Iamaleava under the bus, putting all the blame on Josh Heupel, putting all the blame on the Tennessee side of things. Didn't really agree with that, but where are you at on the pressure with Josh Heupel? I saw an article over on VolQuest, just came out this morning, and ESPN is projecting Tennessee to be a top 10 program nationally over the next 2 years. Here's a quote from the ESPN writer. Says the constant roster shuffling around the sport because of the portal made a 3-year projection less sensible. Instead, the rankings will examine the next 2 seasons, in this case the 25 and 26 season, as a more functional snapshot of the landscape. Now, the factors that went into that rankings were returning quarterback, likelihood of a multi-year quarterback, offensive and defensive line outlook, roster management, star power, and coaching staff. Now, when Nico hit the portal, a lot of people said the sky is falling. We're done. We're only going to win 4 games, Boogie. We're not going to make it to a bowl game. You got Urban Meyer out there saying it is a complete dumpster fire and that Tennessee may not even make a bowl game. That's what Josh Pate said. You don't know what rock bottom is. You've not been a Tennessee fan for the last 20 years. Rock bottom means you're not going to a bowl game. However, ESPN says Tennessee is a top 10 program the next 2 seasons. I made a video about the ESPN FPI. The first ranking for the 2025 season came out. Tennessee predicted to be 10th. They're predicted to have a 9-3 record. Look, Vegas doesn't always agree with the ESPN FPI, but it's pretty dang close. 97.5% chance to win 6 games or more. So, Josh Pate, I get it. Rock bottom can be 4 wins, but I just don't see it. 97.5% chance to win 6 or more games. 38.5% chance to make the college football playoff. Almost a 40% chance based on the ESPN FPI to make that college football playoff. So is there pressure on Josh Heupel? Of course there's pressure. But I want to get into his comments and take a look at him because there's a couple of things there that I disagree with, and I want to get your thoughts. But first and foremost, I need your help. Hit that thumbs up right down there below the video. It's quick, free, and easy. It helps his channel. I would greatly appreciate it. If it's your first time here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We don't pretend to be that. What we are is exactly what you guys are. That's for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. We're going to be live tomorrow night, Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Boogie's birthday bash, Father's Day spectacular. Must not miss that show. Come hang out with us. It'll be a good time. Then next Wednesday, Talkin VAWLS Live continues. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Colton Hood, Tennessee Vols defensive back, will be in the house talking all things Tennessee. We'll talk about his transfer from Colorado to Knoxville. It'll be a fun time. Come hang out for that. But let's go take a look at the article. This is over at On3. Joel Klatt reveals how much pressure Josh Heupel faces in 2025 at Tennessee. And of course he does. Every coach in the SEC faces pressure. But how much pressure? Is there more pressure? Is Josh Heupel going to be on the hot seat if he goes out and goes 7-5, 8-4? Where are you at? And we've talked about this before. Do you almost give Josh Heupel a pass because of the Nico circumstances, the Nico situation? We're going to talk about that here in just a second. Let's take a look at the article. It says the outlook of Tennessee's 2025 college football season changed in an instant when it was revealed that star quarterback Nico Iamaleava was leaving the program and hitting the NCAA transfer portal fresh off a run to the college football playoff. The news caught just about everyone by surprise. Tennessee was forced to regroup following the shocking end of their spring schedule. The Volunteers eventually signed Joey Aguilar from the portal, ironically from the same school Iamaleava transferred to. Now, you can point fingers. You can say it's Tennessee's fault. You could say it's Nico's fault. You can point the finger, put the blame anywhere you want. Josh Heupel is the head coach. Ultimately, it's his job to go out and win football games. But when QB1 jumps in the portal. All this happens right around the spring game. The day of the spring game, we wake up, Nico's gone. It's official. He's transferring. Let the Jake Merklinger era begin. I think that kind of shifted some expectations. I think we all expected Nico to take a step in 2026. Making the run to the college football playoff was nice, but now we want to make a run deep into the college football playoff. And I think Nico was supposed to be a big part of that. Let's go on and read more here from the article. Only time will tell how much the abrupt quarterback change in Knoxville will impact the 2025 season for Josh Heupel and company. However, Joel Klatt revealed his coaching pressure index with Heupel's name on the list. He says, I didn't love the whole Nico saga. So the Tennessee fans, where do we sit with Josh Heupel? I think I like you, but like we don't have a quarterback anymore. And what are we doing? I think they should be Tennessee fans. I think that they're mostly happy with the Heupel era, especially after coming off their first college football playoff appearance. Now, I want to read the rest of this quote. The article leaves out some of this quote, but I've got it here. It says the Volunteers have had a couple of really good years with Josh Heupel, but there have also been some marquee failures. Of course, we can all remember South Carolina. We can all remember the loss to Missouri. Goes on to say it doesn't help any that they lost their quarterback, and there's more to the story than what the Tennessee faithful would let you believe. Please, Joel, by all means, expand on that. Explain that to you. Want to tell us what you're talking about, or are you just going to say there's more to the story and we're not going to address that? That's what he's going to do. He's not going to address it. He goes on to say they threw Iamaleava under the bus, essentially. I'm not saying that Iamaleava wasn't blameless in that ordeal, but now Tennessee doesn't have a clear answer at quarterback. Now, I'm on record. I'm on record right here on this channel saying that I felt like you got to pay Nico. You have to pay Nico. We need Nico. We need QB1 to ride with us in 2026. Tennessee elected not to do that. Now, I've flipped. My opinion changed the day that Nico didn't show up to practice, the day that Nico ghosted the coaching staff, the day that Nico disappeared. At that point, you got to move on. At that point, it's over. At that point, Josh Heupel meets with his football team and says Nico's no longer a part of this football program. What other way was Josh Heupel supposed to handle that, Mr. Klatt? What was Josh Heupel supposed to do, Mr. Klatt? Now, what happens if you do pay Nico? I forget the numbers offhand. But what if you do pay him the $4 million? We saw what happened when he hit the portal. We saw how much money he lost when he hit the portal. So did Josh Heupel, did Tennessee make the wrong decision? Talk about market value when we're talking about NIL deals. Let's talk about market value for Nico Iamaleava. Clearly, he wasn't worth $4 million when he took a pay cut to go to UCLA. So I think Tennessee handled things the right way. I think Tennessee and Josh Heupel made the right decision. I don't think Tennessee threw Nico under the bus. I don't think Tennessee was the one that was holding things up. I don't think that Tennessee was the one that jumped into the portal the day of the spring game. Again, I think both sides are probably a little to blame here, but I don't think Tennessee threw Nico Iamaleava under the bus. Joel Klatt goes on to say, but then they ran out there against Ohio State with their shirts off, and they got ran out of the building. They take a stand, which most of the fan base enjoyed, liked, and backed with Nico and his family, but it comes apart, and now you've got to deliver without him against a schedule that's pretty difficult. Well, let's start with the Ohio State thing with their shirts off. All we heard leading up to that game was that this team couldn't handle the cold. They couldn't handle the weather. It was going to be a problem. That was their response. Bottom line is you got ran out of the building by a team with better football players. That's it. Has nothing to do with taking your shirt off. Maybe a little embarrassing, but at the same time, that's all they had heard leading up to the game. It is what it is. He starts to talk about the schedule moving forward. He analyzed the schedule, pointing to various high-pressure and potentially must-win matchups. He name-dropped Alabama, Oklahoma, and Kentucky for all different reasons. In the end, he chose the November 1st matchup versus the Sooners as a do-or-die matchup. He says that's the game, the moment that the most pressure comes to fruition for Josh Heupel. Says, I think they really should start the season 5-1. I'm going to give them that win at Kentucky going into the second half of the year. I think that they're going to lose to Georgia, then go 5-1 into the stretch. The second half of the schedule is much tougher. So I think when you pull up the schedule, I think when you take a look at it, is this a pressure cooker? Sure, it's the SEC. Has anything changed since Nico left? No, I don't think so. Joel Klatt says 5-1. Syracuse dub, ETSU dub. You're going to lose to Georgia in Neyland Stadium. UAB dub, Mississippi State dub, Arkansas dub. So he's got us going 5-1 in the first half. Anybody in the comment section want to agree or disagree with me that that's pretty much where we were before Nico hit the portal? That's where I was at. I said 5-1 for that first half of the season. So we jump into the second half. He says potential loss to Alabama. Doesn't chalk it up as a loss. He says potentially a loss. Then he says Tennessee goes on the road and beats Kentucky. So if you even give them the loss there at Alabama, you're 6-2 heading into that Oklahoma game. And I think a lot of people feel like Oklahoma's going to roll into Neyland Stadium and just roll over the Vols. I don't see it. It's going to be electric. It's going to be hostile. Josh Heupel's pretty dang good in Neyland Stadium. Not a single loss last year. His record in Neyland Stadium is pretty impressive. Is Oklahoma going to be able to come in and handle that environment? Joel Klatt says that's the biggest one on the schedule. He says the Sooners will look to potentially dethrone the Volunteers from one of the seats in the upper echelon of the SEC. So he's got them at 6-2 going to that Oklahoma game. And then you got, of course, Florida on the road. But again, before Nico, I said you got to find a way to do something you've not done before. That's beat Georgia. That's go on the road and beat Alabama, or go on the road and beat Florida. So I could see 9-3, 10-2 is possible. Do you slip up? Do you lose all three of those and then slip up and lose on the road at Mississippi State? Do you drop one of those games on the road to Kentucky like Josh Heupel seemed to do since being in Knoxville? Several things in this article that I didn't agree with. I don't agree with throwing Nico under the bus. I think there's some equal blame there, and I think ultimately when you don't show up to practice, Josh Heupel had to cut ties and move on, and that's what we've done. But I think overall, I think this football team, I think when you look at, again, ESPN coming out and saying Tennessee's a top 10 program for the next 2 seasons, and the factors are returning quarterbacks, likelihood of multi-year quarterbacks. But let's go on further. Offensive and defensive line outlooks, roster management, star power, and coaching staff. Yes, we lost QB1, but I think we can still live on defense, the running game. Can Joey Aguilar come in and grasp this offense? What are your thoughts? Jump in the comment section. Let's talk about it. As always, smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. You can go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. You can also support by hitting that join button down below. You become a member of this channel for just $1 a month. That support means the world to us. We don't get to do this without your support, so we are grateful for that. There are links in the description for the merchandise and the memberships, but that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.